Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast that you can feed after midnight. I'm Chris Daly, and today I have the pleasure of chatting with Eric Schuster and Kola Anderson from Adams Foundation. Eric, Kola, how are you guys doing today?
Good. Good. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. All right, so we usually like to kick things off. Eric, I kind of know you a little bit, but this will be a good way to get to know you a little bit better. Um, so I like to kick things off with an icebreaker question. So the question today, if someone offered you $1 million to give up your smartphone forever, would you do it?
Yes, immediately. They are the bane of existence and also the problem why we have mental health issues in this country.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not all of them, but a
I
lot of them.
I agree. I think it'd be hard for me. I'd almost say if they up the number a little bit more to maybe a couple of million, maybe I'd be okay with it. I do a lot of work for this podcast and other stuff on my phone, so it would be hard. But no, I definitely agree with you though. There definitely would be a lot less uh issues, a lot less doom scrolling on social media, wasting time if it wasn't for smartphones. They're a blessing and a curse, I guess you could say. All right. So another thing we like to talk about, the Fueled by Weird, what it is, the things that you're into, the things that make you who you are. Those are the things that fuel your weird. So Kola, let's start with you. What are some things that you're interested in that you like to do?
There's a loaded question. I guess that all depends on how in depth you want to get. Uh,
You.
I mean, I do what I do. I work. We do the Adams Foundation, obviously, which is mental health awareness, suicide prevention. My job that actually earns my paycheck is also with a mental health facility here
Oh,
in town.
nice.
So I do a lot of that in my, I guess you call it spare time, whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm very
I
familiar with that.
I do um take care of my animals. I don't know. I'm pagan, so hang on to that realm. Spend as
Nice.
much time as I can with my children. I have grandchildren. It's kind of your typical always busy.
Very cool. Eric, what about you?
I don't know if it's weird, but possibly could be. I've been playing music since I was 4 years old. I started off as a
Wow.
classical cellist. Then around age 14, I got very disenchanted with the classical world. My older brother was a drummer and an inspiration to me, so he would unknowingly let me steal his records. So I started listening to Rush, and being a cellist, that fueled me to take the logical step to bass. And then when I was in college, I had some music courses, and they wouldn't let me play bass or cello, so I had to learn guitar, keyboards, drums, and singing. So I don't know if that's weird, but I also played baseball and hockey for a long time when I was younger.
Right
Back in,
on.
um, well, I don't know what else is weird about me. She could
Well,
probably
I mean,
me.
weird's kind of definitive, just like anything that you're into, someone probably thinks is weird. You don't necessarily think it's weird. I think it's awesome. I mean, like I mentioned, you and I have worked together for a number of years now, so I kind of knew you were big into music on your off hours, but I didn't know that it went back that far. So that's very cool to learn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, but same thing. I like taking care of the dogs, and I with Cola we do Adams Foundation, but I also have an organization called Breaking Boundaries, which I'm the president of, and I also I'm the secretary on the Pride Board here in Idaho Falls. So
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, since you guys have spoke a little bit about Adams Foundation, let's, for those who don't know about it, let's roll into that. How did you guys get started with Adams Foundation?
In October 2014, we lost my son to suicide. He was 14, almost 15 years old. And I I don't see any other way to have moved forward. Because in a sense, it's like still taking care of that person in a
Yeah.
sense. So it's just kind of what I do to fill that void somewhat and hopefully make sure, try to help someone along the way, if not prevent it um, help those who might unfortunately end up in the same, boat we ended up in. Because
Sure.
it's not an easy thing to know, like, what do you do? Where do
Oh
you
yeah,
go? How do you deal with that?
for sure.
So hence why I'm as into the mental health awareness as I am with my degree and everything that I do.
Sure. That's awesome. It happened a number of years ago, so I apologize for your loss. That's unfortunate, and I couldn't even imagine. My oldest daughter's around the same age, so I can't even imagine. But yeah, like you said, even with that big loss, the world still has to keep going. And as much as you want everything to just stop, it's hard to keep going when you have such a significant loss like that. So that's awesome that you were able to find a way to kind of keep things going. Um, so what with Adams Foundation, what is it exactly that you guys do to what now that we know about what Adams Foundation is, what kind of things do you guys do with Adams Foundation?
What we do, we have our website, we have a Facebook page, and we have our uh, bigger fundraiser we're doing that in a couple of weeks to raise funds to help bring awareness to suicide prevention. Mostly, I mean, my biggest goal is to hopefully help people to understand that it's, okay to talk about it. It's okay to express our feelings, that we're not okay all the time. It's not shameful, and it's not whether you're male or female, because I know we have a lot of, the men are supposed to be men, and no, we need to talk about it. Whatever culture you're in, whatever your background is, male, female, whatever. We need people to understand it's okay to talk about it, and that's what we're here for, as well as, you need counseling, I can help you get there. You need just somebody to talk to, we can help you get there too. Like, literally just whatever your need is, to reach out to us, and we'll make sure that need is filled.
To put it in a nutshell, Chris, basically, we're advocates for suicide awareness and prevention, and also people that have mental health and mental disorders. Like Cola said, I know it sounds like a cliche and a catchphrase, because a lot of bands nowadays are saying, "Hey, it's okay not to be okay."
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay not to be okay, but it's okay to get the help. The stigma, especially here in Idaho, is incredible. If you look at us statistically, per capita, Idaho only has about 2.8, 2.9 people in the whole state, yet the population doesn't lend to what the suicide rate is. We're in the top five. A state of 2.8, 2.9 million is in a per capita top five. That's absurd and ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's like you said, there is that stigma where guys aren't supposed to be able to be emotional and talk about their feelings. They just need to keep it to themselves because that's something that girls do. And it is okay to talk about it. I mean, like for myself, within the last year I've lost two very important people in my life, and it's hard because you want to sit and you want to mourn them, but you got to keep going. And sometimes you don't address those feelings, and you try to, like, bury yourself in your hobbies or in your work to kind of just forget about your feelings because you think they're just going to go away, but they don't. So it's very important, like you said, to reach out and talk to somebody about it. So that's great that you guys have that available. You mentioned your fundraiser. Let's talk a little bit about the fundraiser.
Okay. So Saturday, August 26th, over at the Elks Lodge in Idaho Falls on East Elva Street, we have a couple musicians that are coming up, acts. We have Philip Binky. He's coming in from Salt Lake City, Utah area. He's a singer-songwriter, very, very talented young man, and his songs are oriented and focus on feeling good, feeling all right. So if anybody's out there, look him up on the internet. Philip Akey, really good singer songwriter. He'll be opening up a show, and then
Spell the last name.
oh yes, Enkey, capital Enkey.
Thank
Philip,
you.
as you know, Philip. And then a
Sure.
second band's going to be a band which ironically is called Misery, no pun intended. Uh, but I put together some friends who I work with, and I gave them the daunting task of learning songs that got me through my childhood and youth. Some of them not so many fun songs, quite difficult. We're going to be exploring the gamut from Ozzy to Rush to Judas Priest to
Oh,
Poison
wow.
to Motley Crue to Bon Jovi. So yeah, so we're gonna kind of take a little trip down my memory lane, but these songs are all important to me because they all got me through my younger years, be it a long time ago, but still they got me through my younger years. And then we have a wonderful rock band called Scratch. They're a local Idaho Falls rock band. They just played live at 5. Very good, very talented guys. We'll have auctions, we'll have raffles. It's basically just a celebration of life. There's no price to get in. If you want to donate to Adams Foundation, it's always welcome. But it's just, we want everybody to know that there is an advocate and there is a presence in Idaho Falls. If you don't feel okay, we're going to help you get feeling okay.
And the funds that we gather in these events are used towards helping people to get into therapy. Some people can't afford it, so we do what we can to help pay for that. And then, like I said, just keep moving forward with how do like we do what we can to put together things to give away, to expand the knowledge of what's happening in our world and right here in our little town. And also I really want to mention, especially with some of the people that this gentleman works with, if you want to see him cry, you have to be there, because he does. Sorry, I'm gonna laugh. He does a song that we played at the funeral that my son loved. That's a Beatles song, and one of our very close friends is going to do the piano, right?
Yes, there's a gentleman, a friend of ours, who was in a serious accident a few months ago. The doctor pretty much told him he never play piano again, but he's playing piano again. So he's going to accompany
Awesome.
as I sing it. And the one thing I want to do tell everybody that we are a nonprofit group.
Yep.
So every dime, I'll even go back to every penny we get, we take nothing from it. We put it all back into the community of Idaho Falls.
Yes.
So if anybody's wondering about transparency these days and, oh, you guys are in it for the money. Well, the only thing we're in it for the money for is so we can help the people in Idaho Falls.
We keep it very, like you said, transparent, and there's only myself that has access to the account, and then 2 other people that have access to the account, and it's not him and it's none of my family. And we are very open and honest about what we do with the funds. And yes, it's not one of those organizations where 60, 70 cents of every dollar goes into it. Every single penny of every dollar goes back into our community. But he will be singing Let It Be.
So here's the disclaimer, Paul McCartney, if you're watching this, we don't retain the rights, or nor do we pretend to retain the rights. We just do it as a tribute to Paul and the rest of the Beatles and to Adam.
Perfect. Now, with Adams Foundation, if people are listening who are interested in contributing, is it something you guys run all year round? Is there places that people can go online to contribute?
Yes, through our Facebook page, there's a button, and it will redirect you to our website, and then on our website, there's actually a PayPal button where they can contribute. They can also, on our website, you could mail checks straight to our Foundation. I'm not going to give the address out because,
Sure.
well,
Isn't it on there?
it is
Yeah,
on there,
okay, right.
but
I mean, there's a, yeah, PayPal button, and
Yeah.
I mean, our website is amjfoundation.com. Was that clear?
Yeah,
amjfoundation.com.
that works. And
Yeah,
actually,
that's the website.
yeah,
Adams Foundation, if you type that in, that's our Facebook. But yeah, or you know,
and like I said, once again, we're totally 501c3. Every bit of money that people give is a tax write-off for them. They can totally, I mean, not that I'm pushing send
tax
us
write-off.
donations, but it is a good thing if you ever need something and you want to feel good about donating to something. Idaho Falls has a huge homeless and mental health problem right now.
yeah,
And that's what happens when growth happens. And the city's growing leaps and bounds, as we
yeah,
all know.
There's a misconception that people are, I have to make sure I say this correctly, that the people that are homeless because of their mental illness. And that's not the case in all the time. A lot of times people are homeless because they just don't have money. Mental
yeah,
illness has nothing to do with it. We have people living in some of the better neighborhoods making all kinds of money, and they have mental illness.
sure.
And that's such a misconception that it's, and just because you're homeless doesn't mean you're have mental illness.
Right.
You know, um, and that's the thing. It's mental illness isn't necessarily homeless, and homeless isn't necessarily mental illness, but it does go together to such a degree that we need to start coming together and helping our communities to get back on their feet. And this is just one of the things that we do in helping the community.
Yeah, and with mental illness, it's, they call it the invisible disease for a reason, because you don't always know. It doesn't always present physical signs, because I mean, you can't just assume someone has a mental illness, because you just can't tell sometimes.
That's right. And suicide is one of the things that unfortunately, um, I'll talk about one in particular, PTSD.
Okay.
When somebody's diagnosed with PTSD, you're like, oh, I didn't know you were in the war. That's not where.
It's
That's
not
not the
even,
only place you get
it's a
PTSD.
common thread, but it's not always the case.
Right. It is very common, but it's literally post-traumatic stress disorder, and it comes
Yeah.
from any kind of um, traumatic experience, and the effect it has on our brains
Mhm.
is amazing. And trying to heal that is a long, hard journey.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I think suicide awareness and prevention is so important, because it is literally one of the things we can prevent. And that's one of the things that just destroys us. You know,
For sure.
that's one thing that gives people the PTSD and anxiety, that they didn't have it before, but now they do because they've had to deal with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So it comes from many things. And that's just one of the harder ones to figure out.
And that's
yeah.
one of the missions, is to make sure everybody realizes. I know things sometimes suck in the moment, and there seems like there's no hope, there's no light. But if you give it just 24 hours, that dark storm can pass and it be the best day of your life. Uh, and I know a lot of people have trouble finding that hope and light, and that's why we're advocating for it, because it's out there. And I know these days, ironic, these days it's really hard to find that hope and light. You turn on a news channel, you turn on your computer, you turn on the radio, everybody's arguing, everybody's fighting, everybody hates each other. Just like my hat says, it's time to get back to peace, love, and I'm not advocating alcoholism, but happy hour. And that doesn't mean drinking, but it means social interaction that has meaning, not hate.
Positive.
Yeah, positive social interaction. And that's to get into your technology show, to put it together. Technology has become a big player in making the younger kids kill themselves. They're never disconnected. They have people hounding them, bullying them 24/7. It's not like when I grew up. I'm much older than you, Chris,
He's
but
old.
it's true. I'm almost 60,
Hey,
but
I'll be 39 next month, so you're not too much older than me.
well,
I'm not.
Hey, you're only
Chris,
as young as you feel.
I said 60, my friend.
Well, you know,
Almost.
fair.
So I mean, and that's the thing. When I was growing up, that's why I played so much music and I played so much baseball and played hockey because that's all I had. I didn't have this technology when I was growing up. Oh heck, I wish I did, because if I would have had this technology, I could have made Sergeant Pepper. But I mean, but it's just amazing and I feel so bad because I am in technology in the field, and everybody asks me what's the biggest problem, and I said me, technology. I mean, if we could just disconnect our phone one day a week, or our computer one day a week, or stop watching the telly and binging Netflix, and just sit and talk with your friends, relatives, loved ones in person, and just focus on human interaction and get back to that, because that's what human beings need. As we get more and more into technology, you realize, well, when you go to, and then I just, from work, when I go on a call to see somebody that's something needs fixed or something, I'm like, they don't really care about the problem. They're just like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. You're gonna make it better. And that's what people need. They need to get back to human touch, human interaction that's positive.
Especially the children. We have I know, excuse me, the hard thing, most days the hardest thing for me to look at is this 6, 7, 8-year-olds that not only, I mean, they don't just think about it, they attempt it. Sometimes, I mean, we've got some that complete at that age, and that is unreal.
It's heartbreaking.
Because literally of texting, tweeting, Snapchat. What are some of those other ones that I don't? Facebook. I mean, they literally never get to go home and just be, it's and just connect and let it go.
Even Messenger and all the other. And don't get me wrong, it's a good thing to be able to, hit up one of your friends. Like, I hit up a lot of my friends back east. Hey, how's it going? But it's also a good thing to just, as we sit here and talk to each other via Zoom, it's also a good thing just to sit in person and say, hey, how you doing? Are you okay?
Well, if your children are going to be using the phones and the text messaging like they do, parents definitely need to have more accountability and pay attention to what's going on with what's going out and coming in, because that is sometimes part of the problem. We all feel like, well, I trust my child, they're not being mean, or to go to the other side, well, if my child was having problems with somebody, they would tell me. Had my son told me some of the things that I now know, we probably could have prevented it, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I trusted him. He was a great kid. He didn't do, he wasn't in trouble ever, really, other than your normal stuff. But he was never in trouble with the law. He was never, he never got into, everybody said, oh, because he did drugs. No, he didn't do drugs. Yes, I had the coroner's report. I had to find out, what was going on, and there was nothing. So that's the point, is if they're going to be allowed at such young ages, have some accountability.
Yep.
See what's going on, check their phones, and then if you do find something, talk to them about it. Contact the other party, make sure it's dealt with. Don't just figure, oh, it's just kids. Because these days, it's more than just that. It's not like it was when we were just kids.
Yeah. Kids being kids isn't an excuse anymore, because, like you're saying, when I was younger, I didn't really feel like I had anyone to talk to. And I used to get berated with mean things all the time. and I never really felt like I could talk to anybody because I didn't feel like anybody would care. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen the mental health video Kevin Smith came out with a couple of months ago, but he had mentioned that a lot of the trauma he went through, he compartmentalized and minimalized it because, well, what I went through isn't, it's minuscule compared to what this other person went through. And you can't compare because trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter what it is because your brain reacts the same way. And I think if I felt, I mean, I didn't tell anyone, stuff that happened to me until I was much older. And my parents, like, I had no idea that was going on. I'm like, well, I just didn't feel like I could tell you because I felt like nothing was going to happen. And so it's good to have you guys in the world so that, people know that there's someone you can talk to, because I think that's one of the hardest things. And like you said, Eric, um, you wait the 24 hours and, whatever horrible thing you think you're going through could go away. And, they always say, I'd rather stay up late talking to you than talk at your funeral. And that, I think, is definitely something very important because no matter what, and I'm sorry I'm going off on so many tangents. I had a friend that,
That's what it's about.
yeah, we used to talk all the time, and then sometimes we'd go weeks without talking because they're like, well, I didn't have anything to tell you, so I thought I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, you're not bothering me ever. If you want to talk to me, talk to me. And that's another thing that you said, Eric, about, seeing people in person. And, the kids say you got to go out and touch grass sometimes. And that's definitely something that needs to happen. And that's one thing I miss about the job that, we used to do together is, going to see someone in person and getting that, like, yes, you're here to fix my thing. I don't have that as much anymore. I fix things more over the phone now. And that's why I always, every time I do end up going to the office, I always try to talk to as many people as I can, and I'll always find a reason to come to Erob to come say hey to you because I miss the interactions with you and I miss the interactions with people. And that's something that the pandemic has definitely made a lot more complicated because you don't have the face to face as much anymore.
And then that's another elephant in the room here. COVID, the pandemic. Not gonna get social or political, but I'm gonna say two things. It's still going on,
Yeah.
and it has changed everybody's life.
Yep.
Whether you want to debate that, great. I disagree because the way we work, the way we live, the way we eat, the way we shop, the way everything is now changed.
Yeah.
And that has to be at least acknowledged. And whether you believe COVID happened or you don't believe COVID, here's the thing: it's a mental health issue. It always will be now, because now we have people waiting for the next COVID.
Yeah.
We have people waiting for the next social issue. We have people. So I mean, and that's why I advocate so much for it. It's okay, and it doesn't matter if you're like a football player for Super Bowl champions. There are times where you have issues going on, and if you think it's something small, it may be small, but it's important to you, so it's
Yeah.
big to you. So there's no shame, no crime in sitting down with somebody qualified that is willing to help and listen.
Yeah.
One of the things we hear, which kind of touches back on what you were just saying, is, well, when you ask someone, well, why would you want to go to such extremes? Why do you want to be a burden? Well, we'd rather you be a burden. We really would. I wish my son was here to burden me every single day. And just because his siblings are, they feel the same way. We want you to be a burden. We would rather have that burden than not have
So
you.
parents should not have to bury their children. And Adam wasn't my biological son, and I only knew him a few years, but to see his coffin go into the ground was something that will stay with me forever.
I'm sure.
And that to me is the burden I carry, because we couldn't reach out or reach him. And that's why I just want to say, anybody out there, if you think you're a burden, no. The memory of you in a coffin being lowered into the ground, that stays with the family forever, ever, friends and family. So sorry to get real heady and maybe
Nope.
emotional and stuff, but this is something that needs to be addressed, because it's okay to not feel okay, but
Yeah.
get somebody to talk to.
Yeah, don't apologize. That's kind of what this whole thing was about. And you know, it's not the normal typical topic that, you know, we cover here, but that's the thing, is there's not a normal typical topic. I want to talk to people for all sorts of things that they do. It doesn't matter what they're into. And you know, with Geek Network, we're very big into mental health. We're very big mental health advocates, and to the point where, I mean, we have a section on our website where if you want to reach out to people, and we actually did just recently add Adams Foundation to our website. So
Thank
it's
you.
just another place that people can go and access you guys. So it's definitely, there's no reason to apologize. So you're totally good.
So what I want to plug the 9988. Is that it? They have a new text and calling number, or that you could just text anonymously. Before you used to have just a suicide hotline, but now you can actually just text and start talking to somebody and get the ball rolling if you don't feel good. And you know, for years we've had 911 and other things. Now we finally have a true suicide hotline. It's years in coming, and it's such a good thing. And I don't know how far you guys reach with the internet. You could reach worldwide, but if you have a problem, don't hesitate.
Yeah, for sure. So you know, I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, you know, on the weekend. I'm sure you've got things to do. Is there any, you know, final thought you want to say about mental health or mental health awareness before we wrap up?
Uh, I I think no, just sum it up what we've already said. It's okay to not be okay. It's definitely prefer to be a burden and to call somebody, call an 800 number, do a text, do an email, do a walk over and talk to your neighbor. Um, just stay.
Just talk to somebody. It's good advice. And now let's, you know, let's give you guys a minute to plug, you know, plug your socials, plug whatever else you guys want to plug.
Well, we have the Adams Foundation website, and that's www.amjfoundation.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Just look up Adams Foundation or AMJ Foundation. It will redirect you. Of course, would love to see everybody in the local Idaho Falls area at the fundraiser. And I know people may say that's because you want money. No, we want you to celebrate life with us. Everybody we touch, I believe, has now become part of Adam's family. So to me, that's important because Adam would have loved that. He was a social kid, and
He was a goofball.
yeah, he was a goofball, and he was into technology. He loved video gaming, but he also liked having his friends over, and he always was the life of the party. And so this party is a remembrance of him, and it also so we can enable that memory, so we can complete and keep going with our mission to help people in the Idaho Falls area.
Yeah. August 26th at Elks Lodge, 5 o'clock. This is when we start.
Sounds good. We'll definitely do what we can to help spread the word. You know, with me being a local guy myself, I'll do my best to see if we can get the word out to as many people as we can.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you can find this interview when it posts and more, all sorts of fun geek news on geek-network.com. That's our website. We'll have information for Adams Foundation and all sorts of other mental health awareness that you can find on our website. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at GeeksAZ, Geek Network on Facebook. IMCD is weird on Instagram. Polygon Horizon, who does the music for this show, they're a great band. Go check them out on Bandcamp. The logos for the show are done by my friends Chris Chandler and Mike Belcher. You can find them on Instagram and Twitter. And if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends. Word of mouth is our friend. And remember, kids, to embrace the things that feel you're weird, that feel who you are. Always geek responsibly, and always reach out if you need to talk to somebody. Thank you guys for being here today.